Welcome back to The Word at Work. My name's Kyle. We're going through the book of Proverbs together. Thanks so much for joining us. In Proverbs chapter 6, we're given different portraits of foolishness. And in the previous episode, we looked at financial foolishness. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at foolishness in the area of work, or particularly, actually, the focus here is laziness, although laziness does spill over into how we work. And so there is a connection there, as the rest of the book would make clear. But we're gonna try and understand why this is foolish. Why is it foolish to be lazy? So if you have a Bible, why don't you open up to Proverbs chapter 6, and I will read a couple of verses and we'll go through it together. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. So we're told to begin by looking to the ant for wisdom, and of course the implication is that laziness is foolish, right? The sluggard needs to learn wisdom. Again, just notice the moral universe that Proverbs lives in. Foolishness is seen in laziness. Laziness is not something that's amoral, it's a moral problem. Laziness is a moral issue here. And the thing about the ant, take a look at verse 7, is that the ant is self-motivated, right? The ant has no captain or supervisor or project manager. The ant is a self-starter. The ant takes initiative. The ant doesn't need somebody else to motivate it to work hard. The ant works hard all on its own. So a good question to ask yourself if you're trying to figure out whether or not you struggle with laziness is whether or not you need other people to keep egging you on to work, if you need other people to keep motivating you to get things done. Or do you do those things on your own? Are you self-motivated? Are you a self-starter? Do you take initiative and therefore responsibility for yourself? So that's the first thing about the ant. It's a self-starter, takes initiative. The second thing about the ant in verse 8 is that the ant works with the future in mind. It provides supplies in the summer for the inevitable winter, right? So the ant realizes that tough times could lie in the future, and I need to work in the present to protect myself against possible adversity that lies in the future. And so the ant recognizes that there's not just today, there's also tomorrow and the day after and the week after and the month after and the year after. So the wise person recognizes that I need to live in such a way and work in such a way that I am mindful of the future, and particularly, to use language from verse 8, realizing that I might be living in summer and winter may be coming. And I need to prepare in all sorts of ways for that. I need to make the most of the moment. Now, this really is going to challenge us in a culture of instant gratification, right? We want things now, we want things to be easy, and we want to experience the fruit of our labors immediately. And there's nothing, I suppose, inherently wrong with that. But there is some important wisdom here for us to learn. We need to take initiative, we need to take responsibility for ourselves, and we need to work in such a way that plans for the future. Do you work like that? Do you live like that? If not, you may be struggling with wisdom and laziness. Now, the sluggard then actually gets challenged, and we see that in verse 9 by these two questions. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? Right, the goal of these two questions is to shame the sluggard into action. The goal here is to shame the sluggard into taking responsibility. How long will you keep on sleeping? When are you going to wake up and start taking responsibility for your life? The question as well, how long, reveals that this laziness is a pattern, right? And that's an important nuance to keep in mind. It's not just that he's having a lazy day. It's not just that he's having a relaxing weekend. No, it's that this person is in the habit of sleeping and slumbering. This person is in the habit of delaying. This person is in the habit of not taking responsibility for themselves. And that question, how long, reveals the habitual nature of this laziness. The lazy bones is in the habit of doing the bare minimum. Now the problem is that the lazy bones is also smarty pants. So the lazy bones has an answer for everything. And depending on your Bible translation, you may see that verse 10 is actually put in sort of quotation marks, because a number of scholars think that verse 10 would have actually been the reply that the sluggard gave to the question, right? So the question was, how long are you going to lie there? The answer is, verse 10, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. You know, the lazy person's response is, hey, don't rush me. Don't rush me. I'm just resting. I'm very tired. I've had a busy day. I just need to relax a little bit more rest. I'll get to it later. This is actually really good insight into the nature of laziness. I think often in Proverbs, the lazy person isn't refusing to work outright. They're not saying, I'll never work ever. What they're saying is, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get to it later. I'll do it, but not right now. Procrastination, you know. Putting off till tomorrow what I should have done today. That's the name of the game for the lazy person. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. What's the problem though, right? There's actually a response that Solomon has for that. So the question is in verse 9. The lazy person responds in verse 10. But then right in the middle of his response, Solomon speaks up and he says, that attitude of procrastination, so shall your poverty come upon you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man, right? That attitude of procrastination will result in sudden need or poverty, right? So now again, remember that this laziness was habitual, so it's built up over time, but suddenly the consequence comes. And the consequence comes swiftly, unexpectedly, and of course, plunges him into danger and need and vulnerability. Like a thief who surprises you, poverty will catch you unaware. And because the lazy person failed to retain his wealth, he will be unable to attain new wealth, and therefore his poverty will be an enduring condition. That's the significance of the warning there. And I just encourage you to have a kind of careful reflection on that. This is very challenging because I think we all struggle with laziness to one degree or another. We all know what it's like to procrastinate. But there is a warning for us here. There is a genuine warning for us to understand that the consequences of procrastination can be significant in our lives. That's true in terms of our relationships with people. It's true certainly in our relationship with God. But it's also true of our educational life, our economic life, our work life, and all sorts of areas. A lack of diligence can bring in very negative consequences. And so the wise person is like the ant. They take initiative, they take responsibility, and they work with a view to the future. Can I encourage you, as I encourage myself, let's try to be wise. Let's follow the example of the ant and be diligent and work with the end in mind. Thank you so much for joining us today. Next episode, we'll be looking at the third type of folly in this section. And so I look forward to seeing you for that. God bless.